So I made this video and I decided that at the beginning of this video, before anyone watches the information about how to decalcify, how to detoxify your pineal, how to activate it and use it, I've done in other videos. However, I think it's important before you embrace the journey, in case you've never watched me before, of detoxing your pineal, of preventing the calcification of your pineal, and why it's important to do so. That you understand that to use your pineal fully, you need to understand the chrism inside your body, because the chrism that anoints your pineal gland is of vast importance. The two go together, hand in hand. The pineal must be bathed. The chrism is a substance that is secreted from the colostrum of your brain, and as it travels down your 33 vertebrae, goes to the 5 fused vertebrae, and makes its return journey. Then, when it makes its return journey, can you allow it to bathe your pineal gland and activate your pineal pituitary fully to release the substance that is created, which is amber, the DMT, and the serotonin, which is milky, the land flowing with milk and honey? You can only return that chrism by living a life of righteousness, a life of morality, and a clean life without gluttony, and without the acidity of drunkenness, and without the anger which destroys the chrism within us as well, or the volatile emotions. Just as you would not want to prepare a meal for someone while sending it anger, you'd rather send it love. So you shouldn't pollute this most gentle and volatile of substances, the chrism, which you need to activate your pineal. So now you've heard of the chrism, I have other videos about it. Let me get into it. Showing the detoxification, the decalcification of the pineal, and why it's so important to all of us, and why it would seem that some persons out there don't want us to have full use of that gland. Meditation of an ancient god. Stand strong in what I know. I thought I would finally do my decalcifying the pineal gland video. Seems I'm out in this wonderful setting, a place where using prayer, I can stimulate my pineal with this natural light, the angles of light that bounce into my eyes, carrying a photon and delivering those messages from God to lead me towards the service that He requires of me, or towards destiny, or to whatever is required. Those angles of light carrying photons which have information, which are clearly in a more romantic language, the angels or the messengers of light. But what happens when they meet a pineal gland that needs decalcifying? What if your pineal is calcified? And do you need to worry about it? Do you need to decalcify that pineal gland to ensure that you have full use of your anatomy of prayer? Worry is not something that's healthy in any circumstance, and worrying about your pineal and decalcification is not something you should do. But what you should do is be proactive in the protection of your pineal gland, in the prevention of intaking those things that can create calcification within you, and also in detoxifying your pineal gland where possible. Very important, you see the natural angles of light as separate from the unnatural angles of light, such as the electronic matrix that we know many people plug into at night using the television, etc. Even I am part of that electronic matrix, but I am hopefully bringing you messages from the natural light into that electronic light. The pineal gland in itself does calcify. It's not a wishy-washy tinfoil hat idea. The pineal gland calcifies with the ingestion of halides. Now your halides are to worry about fluoride, bromide, and chlorine or bromine. The halides create calcification, and the scientific name is brain sand for what goes on. Now it calcifies your pineal gland, and of course, included within there is calcium as well. It crystallizes this gland. Now, the reason the pineal shows up so heavily is the pineal is outside of the whole protection of the blood-brain barrier. And it's important you understand that when it comes to protecting your pineal gland and the detoxification and the cleansing of it as well, when the pineal calcifies, there are studies now showing that, first of all, we get less of a sense of direction. Secondly, it's now being linked to Alzheimer's and dementia. So it's important that we understand that the calcification of that gland can actually be of great detriment to our health. The ingestion of fluoride is something very commonly known to cause pineal calcification. And of course we have this problem of, why is it in the water? There is enough scientific basis to say fluoride might help with cavities, however. To ingest it is a poisonous substance within our bodies. And then it raises the question. Seems there are benefits to those who might want to control humanity. There are benefits in humanity having less of a sense of direction about themselves, because they are more susceptible and suggestible to the ideas that the mainstream establishment feed to them. That said, does the benefit of potentially maybe protecting from cavities balance out with the damage that it does? And the answer is no. If you read The Fluoride Deception, you'll see kind of in depth why that is. I won't get into it in too much detail, but to me the establishment definitely are doing some trickery, placing fluoride in our drinking water, and also in our toothpaste. So heavily. If you read a tube of toothpaste, it often says, "If you ingest fluoride, please contact your doctor." Yet they are adding it to your water supply. So do the math on that. So yes, fluoride is very damaging, and a calcified pineal is not something we as human beings want in our body, if at all possible. So what do? Your first step to decalcifying your pineal is preventing the calcification and protecting it. The best way to prevent it is, first of all, try and get a clean water source. Now, if you can't afford reverse osmosis, which I have been in that position for a long time, there are things you can do that allow you to carry on using the water supply you have, but enabling your body to reduce the amount of fluoride that it keeps retaining within itself. So I'll get onto those shortly. So if you can't afford reverse osmosis and you feel like you're a lost cause because of it, excuse me, you're not. Don't worry about that. There are other things you can do, but ideally, a reverse osmosis system will take that fluoride out if you can't find a water source that is not as heavily fluoridated as your tap water. If you can't afford it, then I'll get on to other ways that you can tackle that problem. As I say, the other thing is to reduce the intake of those halides, bromine and chlorine. Read the labels of things you're using, even your shampoos and things like that, and should be natural. Don't use chemical-based items where possible, because as those halides go in, they create the calcification. Fluoride is the worst one because of halogen displacement, but I'll get onto that as well. However, fluoride is the worst thing for calcifying the pineal and the other endocrine glands. Don't forget your arteries are in there as well. It's an all-over assault from these halides when you ingest too many of them. All of us are in the Western system at the moment. So reduce your intake of all of the halides is the important thing as well. Reduce then your intake of calcium, and especially calcium-fortified products that include dairy. Dairy is not naturally calcium-rich. It's often fortified. That calcium adds to the issue inside yourself of calcification. As the more you add in begins to calcify inside your body and bind with those halides, then you increase the rate of calcification, especially in the areas not protected by the blood-brain barrier, which the pineal gland, which is our focus of this video, is not as protected as it should be because it's outside of that protection. We see this calcification readily, and we see the problems now in many studies that are being done. And hopefully more will be done that can bring to a human's life, not only by shutting off your anatomy of prayer, but by creating issues like dementia and Alzheimer's inside our society. It is seeming that there is a direct link now between the two. The next thing you want to be doing is strengthening your blood-brain barrier. The blood-brain barrier is a natural protective system for you that you should make use of by making it as healthy and strong as possible. Unfortunately, your pineal is not completely covered by it, but at least it is partially so. The stronger your blood-brain barrier is, the better. First thing you want to be doing is ensuring that you can balance the good flora in your body. It's proven that the better balance in your good flora that you have, the more strength your blood-brain barrier has. I've just done that using fasting. Anyone could do it with fasting. You could use natural herbs. You could get a stool test to see which bacteria you want out of there. I recently had a bout of blastocitis that I had to kill with my water fast. All of these things weaken your blood-brain barrier, and unfortunately, then allow more halides and heavy metal toxins through to places like the pineal gland. Other things you should be doing: supplementing with an algae-based omega-3. You can get omegas from fish, I don't know what your dietary choices are, but I never eat fish because you're adding heavy metals into your body, such as mercury, which can't be avoided in this day and age when you're eating fish. So I just go for where the fish are getting their omegas from, which is the algae directly. The omega helps to strengthen in a tremendous way the blood-brain barrier. Other things you can do are eating certain foods, broccoli, cabbage, cruciferous vegetables. They contain sulforaphane, I can't remember. Name, I'll put it in which helps in a big way to cleanse, detox, and also strengthen the blood-brain barrier. Eating grapes as well contains certain substances. There's a lot on the blood-brain barrier you can do to strengthen it. But those are the key things for me that I do, and I would recommend that you look into it yourself and educate yourself. But make your blood-brain barrier as healthy and strong as possible to protect your pineal. You want your pineal working so you can use it in prayer and meditation to hear God. It would seem certain people on the planet go to great lengths because they know how powerful that gland is to make sure that you are not able to use it. Something else which is really important in keeping your blood-brain barrier strong is reducing the level of zonulin inside your body. Zonulin is created in abundance when you intake gluten, so taking gluten out of my diet was another part of me and my tackling the issue of making my blood-brain barrier as strong as I could. The next thing you want to be looking at is detox. The highest form of cleansing and detox is water fasting. If you want to start decalcifying your body, if you want to start decalcifying your pineal gland, nothing will do it faster than water fasting. Water fast should always be done to get maximum effect for at least 21 days. Now I've recently done 2 separate water fasts, separated because I was traveling and I'd have preferred to go the full length. I ended up fasting 33 days in total over the space of 6 weeks. I felt the absolute difference in my connectivity, not only because I'd used the correct anatomy of prayer and preserved my crism very well. The crism is another part, as I'm about to get onto the importance, or I might have put it at the beginning of the video, because it is so important of how the pineal gland actually operates within itself. When you're fasting, you feel this, and you feel the cleanliness of your body. Water fasting bar none is the best way to detox your pineal gland. Now, however, not all of us can water fast. So there are things you can do now. I mentioned halogen displacement and halides. Iodine is a wonderful substance that you can supplement with, which allows your body to start passing more fluoride in the urine. It's actually halogen displacement works. Fluoride is the lightest molecule, so it displaces iodine from your body, chloride and bromine, and that's why it's the culprit for calcifying your pineal. However, despite halogen displacement, iodine allows you to push more fluoride out into your urine. This is an ideal way. Iodine is so cheap that you can supplement with it easily. If you're having to drink fluoridated water, get that iodine in you as well to allow you to flush out the fluoride in your urine, and also the bromines and the other halogens you don't want in there. Tamarind, you can use this to the same effect. It too allows you to pass more fluoride into your urine. So I'd recommend supplementing with that at the same time. Boron does exactly the same thing. There are foods that contain it, or you can supplement with it, or you can use beet juice and stuff like this. Again, these 3 pull fluoride out of your body and into your urine, and you pass it out. The more you pass it out, the more you are, the less is staying in your body, and the less you are decalcifying, the more you are detoxing from what is going on within there when you start detoxing as well. The other way, of course, is juice fasting and raw foods. The less energy you spend on digestion, the more energy your body can spend on cleansing and pulling toxins out of itself, including calcification and the fluoride, etc., and halogens contained within there. So if you can't fast on water, then fast with calories, so you can get on with your day, but give your body minimal digestive effort. Output it needs to use as little energy as possible on digestion to detox. If you're eating cooked foods, then combine them correctly. Food combine every meal so my body has less work in digestion to deal with, and that again allows my body to cleanse and heal as much as it possibly can. Aside from that, you want to work on getting the calcium out of your body. The best way to get calcium out of your body is a combination of vitamin A, vitamin D, which you can get from the sun, or you might need to supplement, and vitamin K1 and K2. I use a vitamin D and K spray that I spray into my mouth every day. I use multivitamins, superfood powders, etc., but due to the fact I'm a whole food vegan, I get plenty of vitamins regardless of that anyway. However, if you're looking at direct targeted detoxification, get a vitamin A supplement, get a vitamin D and vitamin K supplement. The vitamin K working with those other two vitamins allow you to pull calcium out of calcified areas, arteries, glands everywhere, and actually push it into the bones where it's required. It's a very powerful detox agent for detoxifying the pineal gland. Is to give it your body the correct vitamins, so as it has the correct homeostasis to start detoxing and cleansing. All of these things will allow you to have more usage of your pineal gland if you are dreaming. Your pineal is working anyway. The detoxification of the pineal is more about that sense of guidance from God. When a bear decides to hibernate, it's not the same point every year. Something inside the bear whispers to it based on the seasons and what they can see around, and the natural rhythms of their body to go and to hibernate. That message comes via the pineal gland. A goose migrates. All birds migrate, because they receive that subtle whisper in the pineal gland. Now, what subtle whispers do we miss when our pineal is too calcified? And what subtle whispers do we miss when we're too plugged into entertainment and alcohol and all of these substances? Your pineal will not be able to get that subtle whisper to you. And it is the subtle whisper of my pineal that took me to Tanzania for nearly 5 years ago. Now, and I followed the whisper, which was a numerical synchronicity, 1111. And since getting there, I'm now in charge of an NGO that I built from nothing in that time using social media and a laptop computer, because God told me to go there via my pineal, and we now have a children's village has been built these last 4 years. We have 100 children, over 100 children who we are guardian of. We have an animal rescue, over 1,000 children out of child labor, all because my pineal heard the whisper. So what works that God needs doing on this planet might not get done because people do not hear the whisper of their pineal gland. The whisper of God and the angels come through that gland, because either their mind's too noisy and they're plugged into the mainstream matrix, or if you're looking at the pineal decalcification, presumably you're unplugging from there, and your pineal might just be too calcified, so you're not making full use of it. That is ultimately what it is all about. Now, if you want to activate your pineal, you need to follow the cycle of the crism, and I've done many videos about this. You can't think that your pineal is going to give you some trippy experience. It's not a gimmick to be used for some psychedelic goings-on. It is the means by which God guides your life. It is the way by which the present moment and nature and all its glory and beauty you see around me here guides our lives. There are those on the planet that know that this gland can bring great wisdom and knowledge and guidance from the heavenly realms. It can also bring it from the negative aspects of the spiritual realms as well. And I presume. But this is why fluoridation is such a massive thing inside our society at the moment, because they don't want people to be awakened to the guidance of the kingdom of heaven, which is not of this world. Because once we are, we can begin to build change and ideas and manifest things, which pollute. The negative. Those children who I have in my care, who suffered at the hands of the enemy, were once deemed to me in such a way. I liberated a child who'd been tied up with a disabled child in a shed. He'd been tied up for 10 years. When I got back, a snake nearly bit me, and the Messiah around me said, "Satan sent that snake to bite you because today you took his food." Because there's a dueling of energies, and we know there's a dueling of energies. When God said, "Let there be light," suddenly he said, "Let there be shadow." And the shadow feeds on the suffering that the guidance that the pineal can bring to you can alleviate. And that is why I think they go to such great lengths to pollute both pineal glands, and why we must go to what lengths we must to decalcify, detoxify, activate and make use of that most profound of glands, the pineal. And at that point, as it says in the Bible, you can see God face to face, in the place